And hello good people of the internet, it is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Woo Woo, and this is the December vlog. So it's getting near Christmas, or the holidays, or whatever it is that is the least offensive term to the greatest number of people. I call it Christmas. I'm not a Christian, but it's just what we call it, and I'm happy enough with it. But I understand why people would be offended, it's probably not the right word, but troubled by it and all of those things. Many religions, many thoughts, many different things going on this time of the year. But there's something special with this type of year, I think. Anyway, there's kind of a, I don't know, like an allowance of being able to kind of wind down slightly and be a bit more merry and festive and everyone gets into a bit better form. Well, in theory, what I've noticed over the last, I suppose, good while, is that what happens with Christmas is I'm really expecting it to happen at any point. I'm going to get that feeling, I'm going to get that Christmas spirit, going to get it. Oh, Christmas is over. Which is quite disappointing, like it never quite starts. But I think that might change because of having the wee man, the wee boy, and this is his first proper Christmas. Like he had a Christmas obviously last year, but he was very young. And this time he will get it. It's also very windy here, as you may notice from the background noise. It's very rainy, it's very kind of miserable winter rather than idyllic Christmassy winter. You know, it's not snowing, it's not even cold. It's just miserable. I had a dream last night because we were having very bad weather. And a few days ago, the gate blew off. And I've gone, oh, this is great because the dogs will take any chance to gallivant around the countryside. But they stayed in and didn't go out. Thank the gods. But I had a dream then last night because it was quite windy again, that my whole office had been blown away and I was, wrecked and all that. I was like waking up going, hope that's not true. Hope that's not a prophetic dream. But anyway, these vlog videos are a bit more just about what's going on with me rather than any kind of dedicated magic ideas or thoughts or usefulness or practicality or anything, and it's just more for me just to get my kind of head together on what's been going on over the last month and try to place everything and integrate all the different things that happened. That was originally the whole idea of the podcast. Well, there was a number of ideas for the podcast. One of them though was for me to sort out my own head, and in doing so hopefully that would help other people sort out their own head, because we like to think we're unique, but we're probably not in many ways. Like I'm sure we have different kind of things, aspects of our lives that are different and unique in some ways, but in general, we go through the same type of ordeals, the same kind of trials and tribulations and stuff, and our psychology isn't probably that dramatically different. So I think if someone's trying to work out something and gets through to the end, then it's bound to have a kind of a knock-on effect for other people. I hope that background noise isn't too noisy. The whole point of having this office was that it would have peace and quiet, but that is not the will of the gods. So that's it, yeah. So what has been going on with me over the last while? Well, I'm still continuing with my counselling or therapy or whatever is the correct word for that. And it's EFT, which is emotional freedom therapy. I think, I always get this wrong because there's that EFT that is the tapping, and it's emotional something therapy as well. It could be the freedom one. I'm not sure. It's the one that isn't the tapping one. I'll put a link in the show description below. And it's all about kind of getting in touch with your feelings and not suppressing feelings and all that. And that's fine. And my kind of issues with it, I suppose, is that there's a particular technique that's done which is called chairs, which is you have a conversation with someone in an empty chair, someone that you've had an issue with or someone that you've had trouble with or whatever. And I find it very uncomfortable to do because I'm aware of other people in the building, so if they can hear, if I can hear them, they can hear me. Not in a kind of if you're whispering or you're talking normal. But say you got annoyed or upset or something, you would definitely be hearing it. And you can hear people answering the door and stuff. And the setting just is not very conducive for me to want to release my wrath onto an empty chair. If that was so what's needed, that's kind of what it seems to be aimed toward, is trying to get annoyed at these people or whatever. And my kind of problem, I suppose, with all that is that I'm not in touch with my emotions. I think I'm too, in a sense, in touch with my emotions. I'm a very kind of emotional person in that I kind of sit in emotions an awful lot and feel like they're, in a sense, something that happens to me, or they're external, or they're like a kind of meter within which I dwell. And there's loads of thoughts, and we've talking lots about all of that type of things. And also all of the things issues that I have, say, with people. I've told them, I've discussed it with them, I've said it to them. Sometimes they got it, sometimes they didn't, sometimes they apologised, sometimes they didn't, all this. But it's, in a sense, I've done it, I've said it. And I don't understand, and I can't get my head around why discussing it with an empty, fabricated, imaginary version of the person would have any more impact or any greater benefit than having actually talked to the person in the first place. Now, I can totally understand if there's some unfinished business, say there was someone dead that you never got to give out about or give out to or have a conversation with. I can see, definitely, the utility in that, in having this conversation. But when it's people that, you know, you've had these conversations with, that in a sense that it's not the fact of telling the person how you feel, for me, didn't solve the issue. Whereas in an intellectual type of level, I can understand. So I understand where they're coming from. I can see it through their eyes. I can understand how that arose. I can see the kind of, if you want, the family lineage of that problem or of that role. And I can intellectually understand, and I can see it, whatever. It doesn't take away the emotion from it, the feeling of it. And I always thought there was this kind of Rumpelstiltskin type thing to magic, particularly like, say, binding or banishing or shadow work or any of this type of thing. That when you find a true name, you have power over it. In a way, if you know the demon's name, you have power over it. Or in the fairy tale, if you knew who Rumpelstiltskin's name was, then you had to do as you wanted. But what I've found through kind of this talking type thing, this EFT or whatever it is, just talking out loud, I suppose, is that understanding a problem, understanding where a person coming from, understanding their motives, understanding their their damage or their perspective and all of this thing is fine, and I can understand it and it makes sense and it's kind of clear and there's a part of that puzzle that's kind of solved. But it doesn't change the belief that was created in me from those incidents happening. It's very hard to talk about these without talking about actual incidences of different people, and I don't want to do that because that's different people, and it's not necessarily my story to tell, even though it's things that happened to me, and besides it gets me in trouble, so I don't do it anymore. But it's just like it's like there's a kind of a separation between emotional and intellect. That's kind of, I've externalized emotions in one way, and in another way I'm very in touch with them. I would say too much, in that they kind of are the deciding factor in an awful lot of things, or they're my kind of prevailing, I was going to say mood, but it's not that, my prevailing kind of situation, my headspace or whatever. And I find while I'm kind of clearer about some things, it's more the counselling or therapy or whatever the word is learning that things don't work that I thought worked, rather than I'm not getting any kind of progress. I thought the Rumpelstiltskin kind of view of shadow work, while it's very helpful in understanding it, is almost just an intellectual exercise, and it doesn't banish the demon. Understanding why someone did something shitty to you, getting them, whether imaginary or real or in real life, to admit to that, and even to say sorry, and for them to see it from your point of view, and everything is all forgiven and happy, doesn't change the belief system that was caused by that incident from happening. In that, if someone said to me, as a terrible example, you are a selfish person, and it turned out later that they were going through something and the only did it were lashing out, it was really something that someone else had said to them, whatever, and you can see it, you can understand it, you can accept it, you can forgive it, it makes sense, all of those things. But I still feel like a selfish person. It still feels true because of that was said at a kind of a decisive point, or I believe this. And there's this thing, Alan Chapman in his binding thing talks about this kind of transmission of stuff, that when you're a child up to teenage years, it happens less, that there's kind of a false idea can be given to you in a sense, or a situation will create, you'll make a false kind of conclusion about the world based on a situation, and a role is kind of transferred between one person or another. You can look into that stuff yourself if you want. I find it very helpful in many ways, but again, it's part of the kind of Rumpelstiltskin version of magic. of shadow work, which is knowing its name gives you power over it, and I find it doesn't give me power over it. Alan would say that that means I haven't done it fully, which is probably fair enough, but I don't know how to do it fully then. I do it in the same way other people do it who get release from doing it, and I don't. But I also don't get it in the kind of Cher's way of the EFT, or talking to people, actually sorting it out with people. Now there's an awful lot more to all of that as well, and there's a thing that's coming out that I've talked about before, and I'm going to do a complete video on it because it's an interesting one, about this idea of, and I'll speak for myself because I don't know you, I don't know what you are, but that I am nothing more than a collection of other people's ideas. And as I say, I'll do another video, so I won't go too much, but there's this idea that I can pinpoint every facet of my personality to where it came from. And when you look behind it, there doesn't seem to be anything there. There doesn't seem to be any kind of originality there. There doesn't seem to be a fundamental I behind it, which is interesting because Buddhists would say that. Some Buddhists say that, as does Daniel Dennett and his minions. So there's kind of an interesting thing that, of course, some people say there is an I behind it. But my kind of overriding kind of feeling about it is that, for the most part, I'm doing an impression of a human rather than being a human, which is a very kind of strange way of, I don't know, but it's strange to notice that, in that there's a part of my brain, or part of my psyche, or myself, that within a situation, like say an argument, that while I'm kind of possessed by Mars or Aries or whatever it is that we want to look at it, that I'm possessed by anger, there's another part of me going, you're just acting here. This is an impression. This is you're doing a performance, and it's not just an anger, because sometimes we can do a performance now, and kind of like this kind of outrage, just to be seen to be outraged. But it kind of then looking at everything else, it feels that everything is kind of a play, a kind of a performance and acting, like. And then bring that in with taking other people's personalities and ideas. It's almost as if there's like, at some point an alien landed on this planet, had a look around and went, well, this is humans, I look a bit like a human, so I should probably try to blend in with these people. I like his humour, he seems to do well with this anger, or that seems to be something that does, so take a bit of that. Some of it's conscious, some of it's not conscious, some of it you find later that, oh, that's from my dad, or that's from my friend growing up, and it's not even how I view the world. How do I view the world? I've no idea, because I've been playing this role for so long. That's all kind of confusing and all kind of something that I'll go through, but I will do definitely another video on the whole idea of just being a collection of other people's ideas, and this idea of everything being on a loop, and everything like a stimulus response, and it's automated. It's like Gurdjieff's kind of idea of the automatic man. That's not quite his word. Can't remember his word. Robotic man, something like that, where that you're just on tracks, you're just kind of following, doing the thing, having the reaction just because that's the reaction you have. It's a recording, it's a loop, it's all of these things. And I'm trying to work out if there's anything behind it, or what's behind it, or is that the kind of thing that I have, that where I've talked about before, that I feel like I'm an interloper, that I'm kind of an intruder in a lot of ways, because ultimately I feel kind of fake, or that I'm not real. And there's loads of other things going on in the background, different things about being told I'm not real when I grow in different ways, or I'm not a real boy or a real man, or I'm not doing things in a kind of authentic way. It kind of stuck with me and stuff like that. So there's a kind of this theme of not being real. And then is the kind of the feeling I have of they are coming to get me, whoever they are, some sort of authority figure, is that they're going to find out that I'm fake, that I'm an alien doing an impression of a human being. So that's fun and interesting, and that's kind of where the kind of counselling or therapy has led me. But as I say, I've done a podcast about this a long while ago, so it's not a new idea to me, but it's just something that it's almost as if these ideas come in waves, where it's like, oh, here's this idea where you're nothing but a collection of ideas, and you kind of, oh, I'll sit in that, and then it comes back again another time when you've maybe gone through a bit more and then you're a bit more receptive to it, or you can understand it a bit more. Then it goes away again and maybe it comes back again. But not just that idea, but all kind of ideas seem to go in kind of these kind of wave things along a timeline. That's a timeline. This is the waves. So that's kind of where I'm at with all that. Just about halfway through the planned sessions that I've been given. And I don't know, like to say, is it benefiting me? It's benefited me in the sense of I have a clearer understanding of what doesn't work for me. So that's good enough, I suppose. But I don't feel in any more control of the black dog, or my anxiety, or my stress, or my sadness that I have towards the world or towards existence. And when I'm talking to my therapist, she keeps trying to, she brings back I know humans, and I goes, I'm not really talking about humans or the worlds. And I think she kind of thinks I'm annoyed by, I don't know, whatever Trump's doing or something like the world event, and it's not. It's kind of more a general existence type thing, and I kind of find it very hard that almost that thing of life or existence is dukkha, is suffering. Terrible translation is, there's something off. The wheel is off kilter. Now there's a kind of a being aware of an underlying sadness that I can't kind of discern. Is that an underlying sadness to actual existence, or just a false conclusion I have drawn about it? At the minute it seems true. It seems very true, but probably isn't. So anyway, that's kind of, I suppose, enough blabbing on for this vlog. It's just where my head is at. There's a couple things coming up next year that I'll talk about in another video, but there's a 47s, the study group on Patreon is going to be 47s for the next while. I'm thinking a year, but like, I don't want to do it for a year if the last couple of months are just, I'm just trying to come up with terrible ideas just to make it a year. But there's enough for a good block of time, and there's some kind of more, I don't want to say advanced ideas, but further ideas than what we've come across before. I'm looking forward to doing that. So if that's something you want to get in on, join up. The Patreon links in the description. I also will be doing a video on the year in review and my goals for the next year. That's one I do every year. And I have to do a new intro. And I like the intro I have, but a new one has to be done because the music I use on it, I only paid for the license for a year, and I'm not paying for it again because the program that you have to buy it's a bigger program, and it's not worth the money for just one piece of music. But because it's so timed with the video, it wouldn't work with some other music. So let's see, it gives me a new excuse to do a rebrand, I suppose, at the beginning of the year. So anyway, good people of the internet, thanks for sticking around and listening to my inane thoughts or my psychobabble. And until our next adventure, be well.